Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. I have to admit I originally had a different idea for a video for this week, but the more I was developing it, the less I was vibing with it, so I had to come up with something else. Luckily enough, I had a spare idea that I could whip out just in case something like this happened. Namely, how I would develop a fighting game if I had the responsibility and credentials to do such a thing. I won't go into any stuff like individual characters or move stats or or a lot of descriptions about the setting per se. I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of what I think would make an interesting fighting game. Before I delve into that, I first want to give you my frame of reference so you understand where I'm coming from when it comes to this discussion. To put it simply, I am the filthiest casual you could you could think of. I don't really game regularly. I'll say that much. Um, but I do happen to insert myself quite frequently in discussions about gaming. And that could mean various trends within the gaming industry. That could mean talking about individual games or individual features of games. Regardless, I get myself into these, and I've picked up a few things through osmosis. And because fighting games tend to take up the plurality of the discussions I involve myself with, I thought, yeah, I think I know enough about what makes a good fighting game to where I could make a video about it. So let's talk about that. What do I think would make for a good fighting game? Let's talk about the mechanics, or how the player interacts with the game. I'm assuming we're starting with a standard arcade-ish control panel, or like the one you find in esports, where you have a joystick for all directions and then 6 other buttons. I think those 6 other buttons should be standard punch, standard kick, strong punch, strong kick, and then the 5th button would be special, and the 6th would be block. Nothing too groundbreaking, nothing out of the ordinary, and that makes it pretty easy to map out a whole slew of other moves and combos on such a control scheme. Alternatively, you could have all specials be done through combos, and the last 2 buttons would be high block and low block. That could suit a more disruptive kind of game where it is more important to have good pacing and reversals rather than just go for aggressive combos. As for how the characters themselves would be thought up and set up, I'm thinking that their stats should be laid out on a grid, and these characters would receive a number of points that would be allotted to the grid. All characters would receive the same number of points, but the points they do receive aren't enough to fill out the grid. So, meaning some characters would specialize in one particular field and over all others. And I think most characters would to some extent. So even though there are some characters who will have certain advantages over others, such as some will move faster or some will have harder hitting attacks, the roster overall should still be pretty balanced while still being quite varied. Unless there aren't any game-breaking attacks and combinations, but I think or combos. But I think playtesting should be able to find and then eliminate these combos. And given I already mentioned the characters, let's go a bit into roster. Because this is the first game of a potential franchise, I want the initial roster to be quite small, maybe 9 or 12 characters, just to help audience get into it. I also want to add a caveat that each of these characters would receive free variations. Each of these variations would be similar in moveset and stats, but they should still feel somewhat different, somewhat more unique. Think of them as echo fighters, if you will. Why free variations? Well, it's because of the story I have in mind, which revolves around parallel universes. The basic plot is that we have one group of characters, let's call them A, who are brought into a parallel universe by a set of their duplicates. Let's call that set B, who want their help in fighting off another set of duplicates. Let's call them C. The story would be divided into character chapters where you play as one variant of each character, and you get to see this story as it unfolds. I also have a twist in mind for the story, but I won't go into that. Just now. I just wanted to see if you can figure out what the twist is. However, no matter what kind of twist the story has, it's not enough to assure it a lot of longevity. No, in order to do that, you need an active multiplayer community. First of all, I think. Second of all, you need to give the players more to engage with, and that means trophies or achievements, and that also means alternate modes. I'm going to go into alternate modes first, and then go into what you would receive achievements for in the game. When it comes to the alternate modes, I'm thinking about a standard arcade run where you take one variation of a character and then fight against any variation of all other characters. And then I'm thinking about two different sub-modes for the survival mode. One where you take one variation of one character and fight against every other variation of every character, or maybe a specific set of variations under specific circumstances. That's the standard survival mode. And an ultimate survival mode, where you take one variation of one character and fight against every other variation in the game, but on one life bar. Meaning any damage you incur in one fight will carry over into the next fights. And you would get achievements based on how many runs through these modes you manage to do, and with which characters you manage to get them. There will also be achievements for stuff like in story challenges, as well as for various multiplayer achievements, such as most fights won consecutively, most fights won in a day, or most fights won with a specific character, or maybe not necessarily most, but just winning a number of fights under these conditions. As for the multiplayer modes, I'm thinking about keeping it relatively simple. So there'll be a local multiplayer and an online multiplayer. And within these modes, you'll have the ability to play either player versus player or team on team. And I also want to give the player the possibility to participate in tournaments, be they round robin or single elimination, or some combination thereof. Would a player receive anything for participating in that aside from achievements? Well, the answer to that is yes. First of all, bragging rights. Second of all, a place on the world ranking. And last but not least, the ability to customize your character's gear. Important, all of this, the ability to customize your character's gear will I can't talk anymore. All customizations to your character's gear will be bought with in-game cash, so no spending real-life money on this game. Neither for gear nor for buying online cash. You only spend money on this game once, namely when you buy it. Everything else is achieved through playing. That is the ideal. And also, I want to make not just an in-game shop where you get this gear, where you get new bits of gear you're interested in, but I want it to be an actual in-game market where you also sell off things that gear items that you don't really like or need or want anymore. I am still deliberating on whether or not the prices should fluctuate within that market. I'm leaning towards no for now, because I think that will ensure the best or the highest degree of player engagement over the lifespan of this game. And yeah, that is my rough idea for how I would set up a fighting game. I hope you like it. Do let me know if you want me to expand on it, tell you more about the characters or the story. And I hope to see you next time, when I will be talking about how I would adapt one specific property to the fighting game medium. Until then, however, thank you very much for your attention and for viewing me. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. If you have something you'd like to add, the comment section awaits your input. And if you want to see when the next video comes up, then please go ahead and subscribe. Maybe also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you, so it knows to give you notifications. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.